Student debt. Let's talk about it. All right, today we're going to talk about some student debt, go over some experiences some people are having right now with their student debt. Also, we're going to talk about why you should avoid student debt. Me, luckily, I was able to graduate college debt free. You know, I paid my way through college. I actually started off at community college, which is a lot of people are taking nowadays. I did 2 years there, did my next 2 years at university, so finished up my bachelor's degree. I actually ended up getting two bachelor degrees at the same time, you know. But yeah, I was able to graduate debt free. One of the things I did to graduate debt free, first, of course, save money going to community college my first 2 years. Then, what I did when I got to university, my first year I couldn't do it because, of course, I was new. But my next year I became an RA. So when you're an RA, at least at the university I went to, you get free housing. And so, you know, if you went to college, you know, housing is probably like half, you know, of your tuition right there, half your student bill right there. So that's what I ended up doing. And of course, I was also involved. Good enough grades. I got some scholarships and things like that. That also paid for part of my schooling. So yeah, you know, if I could recommend anything, and hopefully from today's videos and reactions, you see to all my rising, I would say sophomores, juniors, seniors, whatever it is, or anybody going into college, if you can avoid student debt and student loans at all costs, I would do it, more so because you'll save money for yourself in the long run. But let's go and get into it, man.
I have $140,000 in student debt and I'm not stressed about it. So let's talk about it. And I'll show you my favorite everyday makeup look. The first thing is from Merit. I'm absolutely obsessed with this. I have 2 sets of student loans. So I have the federal loans that most people have, and then I also have private loans. So lucky me. This is the Milk Contour Stick. I really like this because I'm trying to do clean beauty. When I said I wasn't stressed, that was kind of a lie. I just think it's so crazy how we are signing kids up who are 18 years old with $140,000 of student debt before they really realize like how much money that is and how much it's gonna take to pay that off. I went to a private school in Connecticut, and I did that because I was in a 3+1 program, so I basically got 2 degrees for the price of 1 degree. I still got to finish at the same time as all of my friends who were just getting their bachelor's. At the time, I thought going to the private school because of the program was a really good option for me financially. But I definitely didn't realize how much $140,000 really is, or else I probably wouldn't have done it. But I've been paying off my loans since I was a freshman, yes, a freshman in college. So I kind of want to tell you what my plan is, how I'm doing it, and how I'm trying to get rid of these as quickly as possible. I am 24 and I didn't move out of my childhood home until I was 24. I stayed home for 2 years after school and basically was able to put all the money I was making towards my student debt, and honestly, I didn't save, which I definitely don't recommend. Definitely put some savings aside. I kind of learned that the hard way. When I moved out, I kind of realized just how hard it is to pay rent and get your own groceries and basically be an adult and have this looming student debt over your head. It's really hard, honestly, to look at my friends who are getting married and buying houses and just knowing that I'm extremely responsible and I'm not going to be able to do that. I can't do that, and it's not going to happen for quite a while. Essentially, what I do every single month is I put 1 paycheck towards my student debt, and then I do 1 paycheck towards my rent, utilities, groceries, and I kind of try to save just whatever little is left that I can. I know it's really hard for some people to put a full paycheck towards their student debt, but I would really recommend it if you can. I honestly just have it taken out right away, and it's like it never even hit my bank account. So I'm definitely pressed for money, unlike my other friends, but I'm really learning like how to be responsible with money, which, you know, I wish I learned when I was 18. For anyone who is starting their payments now for the federal loans, I really recommend putting more than what's due towards it so you can pay down the principal, because that's the thing that's going to get you, because you're just going to be paying interest over time when you could have brought that down a lot earlier. Don't get me wrong.
Okay. For the sake of time, I'm not gonna watch the whole video because that was a long video. But a lot of things she did say, I probably would also recommend if you do have student loans. I think she mentioned going and paying extra on the student loans if you have student loans currently. That I would do more so because if you have a lot of student loans, especially in her situation, she had over 100,000. But even I would say 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 plus, student loans, your interest alone is going to eat you up. So you paying sometimes the minimum payment isn't really going to get you nowhere because your interest is going to outpay, or I would say, I guess, out earn in the case of the lender, your payment, your minimum payment that you'll be making. So in turn, you're really just going to be paying way more over the life of the term, and you kind of going to be stuck for your life term. Oh, that was a play on words right there. But yeah, no, I would definitely say try to pay more, like she said, to get ahead of that interest payment and pay it down some, at least the principal, like she was talking about. And if you don't know, your principal is the actual loan amount. Interest is kind of basic math, just anything else built on top of that, right? And they usually give you a breakdown, just almost like an auto loan or anything like that. They usually give you a breakdown of what your payment would be, how your interest looks like, X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z. So you usually get that if you really want to look at those numbers and crunch them. All my people also going to college. As she mentioned, the different kinds of loans. Private loans are basically loans you just go get what it sounds like from a private lender, someone who just gives you money out. And of course, they have those for anything, whether it's auto, personal loans, whatever it is. But in her case, you got student loans. Definitely avoid private loans if all possible, unless you really get a good private loan. I would say at a good interest rate. If you do plan on taking student loans, again, I wouldn't recommend taking out student loans, but if you plan on getting one and you could find a private loan lender that will give you a good interest rate, because I would say the federal interest rate is probably around like 20% I don't really know like that off the top of my head because I don't have any student loans, or I didn't really have any. I took out one little student loan while I was in college for $1,000, but I paid that back before I even graduated. So it really didn't affect me as far as interest or any lingering payments or anything like that when I graduated. But yeah, if you do go the private lender route, do it for the right reasons. Do your research, do your justice, do your due diligence, whatever you want to say to it. And then if you go the federal student loan route, make sure you know what you're getting into, whether that's an unsubsidized or subsidized loan, because one starts accruing interest faster than the other. In some cases, one can accrue more interest than the other. So just make sure you know what you're getting into and what you're accepting when you accept some of these loans as well. And most student loan payments, they start, especially with the current administration cracking down on repaying student loans, most of them start 6 months after you graduate. And that's why most people talk about, okay, I'll just stay in school for my lifetime and just keep on, getting this degree, getting that degree, getting this degree, getting that degree, so they can avoid those student loan repayments, because as long as you're in school, you don't have to pay back your student loans, right? Now, knowing our system, knowing our judicial system and how everything works, and with, I would say, the hype around not taking out student loans and people not wanting to pay them back, I would assume they probably put something in place in the future. That's just my assumption. That's no concrete evidence or anything behind that, but that would just be my assumption, to get around that loophole right there. But hopefully she figures everything out. Hopefully she gets, it sounds like she has a plan and everything. But yeah, I can't stress enough. If you can avoid any debt in general, especially student loans, avoid them.
I'm in my second year of medical school, and this is my current student debt. 191,000, and it literally goes up by hundreds every single day. And I currently have $8 in my bank account. It's like about $100,000 a year, and I think just right now in my mind it's not real money, because if I think of it that way, then I'm just gonna freak out every single day. So I honestly try not to think about it as much as I can and just trust that I'll be able to pay it off one day. I also know there are a lot of programs that you can enroll in now to try to help alleviate that debt, but I just think it's outrageous how we're paying them to do service jobs that so little people want to do. And this is the reason why they don't want to do them. Because like you get into your career and then you have $500,000 of debt. Mind you, I'm going to accrue more than 200,000 by the end of this. It's like I'm paying to give up so many years of my life to work for free, to help other people who need it, to go to underserved areas. Like I'm paying you to do that. If anything, there should just be no payment at all. But I'm like just trying not to stress about it, because if I think about it, then I'm just gonna freak out. So yeah.
Hey, so I guess I would say that's a wake up video for anyone thinking about going to med school. Med school isn't cheap. And one thing I've realized, I mean, a lot of people go to med school and accrue the student loans and accrue the student debt, more so for the simple fact they think, okay, I'm gonna graduate, get me a good job, have enough money to pay back these student loans, right? It doesn't always work out that way. I've seen plenty of people go into student debt and be in med school, have plans to do X, Y, Z, but then they fall short, maybe don't get into the program they want to get into, or they actually don't finish in some cases. Some go in a whole different career path, right? But that debt still follows you. So recommend something like med school or whatever it is, right, that you want to do. Make sure it's something that you want to do, because personally, even one of my close friends, he didn't finish college. He actually started college, went for about 2 years or so, racked up some student debt, right? But he has to pay it back now, even though he has no degree, really nothing to show for it, but student debt, right? And I guess a few memories. But make sure it's something that you want to do when you take on that student debt, and it's something that's going to, I would say, pay you dividends in the future, because a lot of degrees out here are useless, right? She's going to med school. And as you see, what we kind of just talked about a little bit ago, those interest payments that I was talking about are stacking up, month over month, so she's kind of dug herself into a little bit of a hole. And even in the future, if she does make those payments, right, she's going to be having to make extreme payments just to make sure she can keep up with the interest, right? Or she's going to forever just be drowning in debt, unless she kind of gets some kind of consolidation, forgiveness, or whatever it is, right? Like I'm saying, try to avoid that as much as possible. Or if you do plan on taking out student loans, go into something that you find yourself really wanting to do, and it's really going to be productive after college. It's going to give you good benefits, get you a good job, a stable job. It's something that's not going to fizzle out because of artificial intelligence, those kind of things, man. So that's my recommendation. And yeah.
So our loan officer came back and said, LOJK, for the amount that we are approved for getting a house, and lowered it by $50,000 because of our student loans. So the number really wasn't an issue at first, but now that everything happening with student loans and everything, we'll have to start making payments on them in February for my husband and March for me. So our loan officer was like, LOL, nah, dog, we're not approving y'all for that amount. So let me show you all these numbers. So this is my husband's, $35,108. And this is mine, $121,264. So of course, we're obviously bummed out. I think I'm more so bummed out because I just feel like I am just kind of stuck in this financial hole. And I know that the path for me was to open my practice and right out of school and yada, yada, yada. But it's just kind of like, I'll look at my friends and how they started working right out of school. And I'm like, if I just started working right out of school, we'd be definitely in a different financial spot than where we are. But, I can't compare. But, it's heavy. It's heavy because I'm working really, really hard at this practice. If you've ever started a business, you work the hardest, but at the beginning stages, you definitely make as if you're not working at all. So this year I am going to work really hard with social media, and I'm going to use all of the money that we make from social media and put it directly towards our loans. So I will share that process of how we get everything broken down and just how much we're putting towards the loans and how much I'll make every month off social media. And I just hope that, this is just the year that social media just takes off, even though TikTok might go away.
Okay. So, I mean, a prime example right there, you see like her, her and her husband, it looked like both were in student debt, him less than hers, but you see it's affecting their housing situation. She mentioned she wanted to have her own practice. It's affecting that situation. Working to try to pay off those student loans while simultaneously not getting approved for what you want to do because you have those on your credit report and everything like that, right? So, I mean, those are some of the hindrance. I would say, did I say that right? Hindrance? Did I say? I don't know. I'm having a brain fart right now. But those are some of the things, the obstacles that can be caused, by having student loans, right? That could not approve you for a home that you want, right? A business loan that you're trying to get. I mean, I've heard of things as far as insurance, just a bunch of different things where it could be even a car, like things as simple as that. As well, I don't know about a car, that's kind of, anyways. Yeah, no, like you'll definitely have some struggles for whatever you're trying to get in life because you have those student loans. Student loans can hinder a whole lot of things, can hinder you from achieving your personal goals, your financial goals, just a bunch of different things in general. So, again, prime example. Student loans affecting her life. If you can avoid student loans at all costs, avoid student loans at all costs, right? But that's enough said. I think I said my piece on student loans. Again, if you can avoid them, and if you're going to college for the first time, please do your due diligence. Me, I went to college. I didn't have no guidance. My parents didn't go to college. I was first generation, X, Y, and Z. So I learned as I went, right? I kind of went through the process of applying, starting classes, figuring this out, figuring the housing out, when I went to university, figured my own situation out. So I was kind of blessed to kind of have, I would say, a guiding bug in my ear to let me just have awareness of just hearing things in general of, okay, don't get student loans, don't do this, don't do that, and kind of always being receptive to those things and hearing those murmurs come from, just the general public, or just different things you would hear or see of other people's experiences. So it kind of worked out for me in the long run, right? That's why I'm here to be that, guiding bug for y'all. Let me be in y'all ear a little bit. All right. With that being said, thanks for watching this video. If you have stuck with me for this long, like the video if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe. Of course, that's going to help me grow this channel and build it. Again, I want to sit here when I do this channel, talk about just personal growth things. Again, finances, life things like that in general. Again, if you have anything that you want me to talk about, just leave it in the comments. And until next video, and I'm out.